Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Reader's Magnet featured author interview, where we dive deep into the world of creativity and inspiration. And today, it is a privilege to introduce our guest for today's show, Angela Anderson. Now, Angela is a versatile writer whose work spans poetry, fiction, and essays, and her experiences in the U.S. Army took her across the globe, influencing much of her creative work. Now, Angela's poetry first appeared in the Twilight Musings, an anthology published by the International Library of Poetry in 2005. Get a load of that. And she followed that with her short novel, Reaping and Sowing, in 2007. In addition to her literary accomplishments, Angela has written essays and short stories for various media outlets, showcasing her wide-ranging interests and depth of insights. And she's here with us today to talk about her book, Copious Components, a collection of poetry and essays. So without further ado, please help me welcome Angela Anderson. So Angela, how are we feeling today?
Hi, Rob. We're feeling very awesome today. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Good. I really love to have you. And again, welcome to the Hive. And right now, to all of our viewers, though, as you can see on your screen, you might be seeing the cover of the book. And Angela also has a cover. So without further ado, Angela, please tell us, what is your book all about?
So, Copious Components is a collection of poetry with a few bonus essays that I chose to share in the end. Copious Components, started actually many years ago, probably more than, I'm going to age myself now, but more than more than 40 years ago when I first started writing as a child. I started poetry at about age 9. So this has been a labor of love for me for many years. I would write my poetry and file it away in my filing cabinet. And as I toured the country and worked various jobs with the military and the government, I would continue to write and file away my poetry. So Copious Components for me is a labor of love that has spanned a few decades, to be honest. And I just felt like it was time for me to share that, my gift and treasure of poetry with the world.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. Though there are, because again, poets though have this way of there's a saying like you know your way through words. Like how can you express yourself through words? And poetry is that good avenue when it comes with expressing one's feeling. And you saying that this is a labor of love really shows that poetry is something that's within you. And you started when you were 9 years old, and that is a long span of you writing poetry. But
Yes.
Angela, just one more thing, just that really just caught my attention here is again you had work with fiction, essays, a lot of different stories. But why stick with poetry?
Well, again, it was my first love. It was my first love. I actually wrote a book at age 10 called Zebra Cat. I don't know how many people remember Weekly Reader, but I was a huge fan of Weekly Reader. It was a little subscription magazine that came out for children. And as a child, I would read Weekly Reader and just wish I could write stories that were in Weekly Reader. And so poetry for me, I started writing poetry before I wrote anything else, but I just didn't know if there was an audience for the poetry. And because poetry is a different breed of readership, right? You have a different breed of readers for poetry. And so for me, I wasn't sure that my poetry would be received. So I chose to write the other genres that were more well received, I'll say. And then I kept coming back to poetry because, again, it was my first love. So I just decided it was time I continue to write nonfiction and fiction and other genres, but it was time for me to release my labor of love, which is poetry.
Oh, okay. You know what? You talk about poetry though, and I do love civil poetry. And there's this thing at the back of my mind. Like I want to hear like even just one sonnet that you had written though. If by any chance, Dave, you can pick one up. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here. But is there out of the poetry book you wrote though, is there one that really resonates with you deeply though that maybe you can share with the audience?
Ooh,
Yeah,
There's
I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot here.
no, no,
'Cause-
no, not putting me on the spot. There's just so many.
Hmm,
But the funny thing is, when I am with my family and we have family events, family get-togethers, they always want me to entertain by reciting poetry. Um,
hmm,
and again, it's my first love, and I started reciting poetry in elementary school, and
hmm.
so I remembered that and carried that with me all throughout school, and so even as an adult now, I still recite poetry to my family. So just a little excerpt from, something
Sure.
that I've written in my book. Um, I was challenged, someone said to me, if you're really a poet, you can write a poem in 2 minutes. And
Oh,
so I said, challenge accepted. And there's a poem in Copious Components called Heart and Mind, and it's a longer version than the original version I wrote in 2 minutes, but
oh,
it
okay.
basically says a heart is the heart and mind, just a little excerpt. If the
Sure.
heart and mind cannot agree, I will go with my heart. If I ever had to choose, I would go with my heart, and my mind I would lose. That's just a snippet of the 2 minute poem I wrote called Mind.
But we'll be getting the full version from your
But you'll
book then.
definitely be getting the full
There.
version,
Because
yes.
I was wanting for more, like I want more from
Yes.
that, and I really love it though. Again, you wrote it in 2 minutes, getting an excerpt in that. And if I, again, to all of our viewers though, again, if you want to get more of these poetry though, again, it's a labor of love. Coming back with
Definitely.
expression, how you need a very creative mind when it comes to poetry,
Yes.
and it really resonates. And even for that short excerpt from what you just shared for me, it really has this impact when it comes with having tugging some heartstrings. And I am looking forward to, hey, because again, I know that I'll be adding this to my future books to read list, and
Yes.
that will be something that I can read on as one poem by day, and I'm looking forward to see that as well. But again, Angela, you told me that you've started writing poetry through elementary, and again, so it has been a long time that you've been writing poetry now, basically.
Yes. It's been a
So
journey.
it's really a journey. I think about it from elementary up until
Mhm.
now. It's something that you haven't given up. So, do you have any literary influences that inspired you to continue doing this?
Oh, so many.
Hmm.
Again, from childhood, right? So the early works of, and you could probably, if you pick up my book, it's a very short read. You could read it in
Hmm.
an hour, but
Hmm.
I like to say take 2 hours because I like to read for comprehension and understanding. So, yes, you can read it in an hour, but
Hmm.
really to feel and get what the poetry is expressing, you might need a little more than an hour. But as you read through Copious Components, you'll feel some Maya Angelou in there. I have some
Oh,
quotes. Several quotes from Dr. Maya Angelou throughout the book, but also some of my other earlier influences that didn't include poetry, Toni Morrison, and some of the earlier writings from Shakespeare. I
okay.
like some of them. Yeah.
Hmm. I love that.
Poetry
Love it.
to me is I like to think of, my work has many influences, not just poetry, folks who have written poetry, but fiction writers and nonfiction writers. One of my very favorite is Rudyard Kipling.
Oh. Hmm.
When you can keep your head, if you can keep your head when all about you. If is one of my very favorite, and it was one I recited very early in childhood. I memorized it and recited it again and again. But just that love for poetry and coming back to it, despite all the other things that I've done in my life, and having those influences be a very big part of my life. For example, I met Dr. Maya Angelou
Hmm.
several years ago in Houston, Texas, when she was touring. It was one of her very last tours. So I have so many influences and folks that have influenced my writing from childhood to now, and they're still folks, because I'm an avid reader. You have to be an avid reader in order to be a good writer, and so there are still folks that influence my writing to this day.
I agree with that. And again, coming back with what you said earlier, having your influences, getting inspired, and making sure that you can really have that creative inspiration to continue on and on. And hey, who knows, Angela? There, you'll never know, but there might be someone who is starting to write their own poetry, being inspired by you as well. Okay,
I hope so.
it's hey, who knows? Okay, again, the world is so huge. They're
Yes,
just saying like the world is small, but the world is so huge that you'll never know that you might be inspiring someone through your creative work and your creative wisdom. And this book
absolutely.
might be that trigger for someone who would be like you, that started from elementary up until the end, still continued to write. And but again, going back with writing books, going back with having your book available, is there a message that you want to share with your readers and your future readers as well, of who will be picking up your book?
Absolutely. I have actually had a couple people pick up the phone and call me and say, "Thank you for writing my story." Just
Mm.
one poem in my book that influenced them or spoke to them, or they had a shared experience. They were grateful. And so for me, if I can reach just one person, if I could get one phone call from an individual to say thank you, that to me is the whole reason that I write. It's the purpose for it. It's we are here, I strongly believe we are here to for two reasons: to get a lesson and to teach a lesson.
Mm.
And we're here for both. And I my next work that I'm my next book is actually a work of nonfiction called Get Your Lessons, People. But we're here for both. And so my writing, whether it's poetry or nonfiction or fiction, if I can touch just one person or provide a message, send a message, that's here to one person, then it's worth, you know, the 40, 50 years I've been writing. And I will continue. If I just reach one person, I will continue to write.
You know, that Angela, that is very lovely, and that is just not more of a message, but it's more of a, how do you say this? It's a goal. Like you can basically, you can write a book, make sure that it reaches a lot of people, but only one person that can be influenced by it is something that would mean the most to you, and it gives the
Absolutely.
validation that this book is something that helped or even affected a person's life for the betterment of their being. And I really love that so
Thank you.
much. No, I want to give that a clap, Angela. And it really shows, okay? Your love for writing, your love for poetry, the passion, and also the excitement as well. And you also included that you're also writing a new book, which is going to be nonfiction. And to all of our viewers and who might be excited to know more of your work, is there a time frame on when this book would be available?
Gosh.
There, I'm asking you the question right now. When would it
Well,
be available as well?
hopefully in before the spring. I have been writing. I have been writing this work for quite some time. Just not
Mm,
as long as I've been writing copious components, but for quite some time. And because of the nature of it, it's a constant learning of lesson, learning and teaching. It's the ebbs and flows of life. And
mhm,
so it's hard for me to stop and just let it go.
mhm.
But I am prepared in the new year. I'm hoping February timeframe to just let it go. And again, if it reaches just one person, then my work here is done.
Good, good. Okay, love that. Okay, but again, right now, though, to all of our viewers, and again to all the people who have been watching the live stream right now, again, if you want to know more about Angela's books, though, and if you want to grab a copy of Copious Components, again, please be sure to check it out. Though it's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And here's the beautiful thing about this: you want to get updates from Angela, visit her website. That's www.angela-inc.com. Let me spell it out to you for all the people at home. That's www.angela-ink.com. That's angela-inc.com. And also, if ever you want to know more and hear more from Angela, though, she'll also be joining the Festival of Storytellers, which again, Angela is a storyteller by heart. That's going to be happening this 20th of January up until the 2nd of February. And Angela, just in case people can't catch you during the Festival of Storytellers, are there any events that they can also see you at, like maybe some future plans as well?
Yes, I have some future events planned and in the works, more to come on that. And I will provide updates on my website as those events unfold. So yes, I look forward to doing more and getting out there and doing some readings and reciting poetry and just meeting and mingling and networking with my readers.
Awesome. Really love that, and I'm really looking forward to see your future work as well, Angela. So again, as we come to today's conversation, as we end this and wrap this up, just want to extend a heartfelt thank you to you, Angela, for joining us and sharing your insights and sharing about how passion is still alive when it comes with writing books. It's not always about the money. It's not always about the fame. It's just that one person that would give you a call and say, "Hey, thank you for writing the book. That helped me a lot."
Absolutely.
Okay. Again, and Angela, I'm looking forward to see more works in your future, though, and I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, on that February, once you get to put a stop on that, if it's going to be published, though, again, it's going to be updated on Angela's website. And Angela, thank you very much. Really appreciate you joining us today. That's one thing I can say. Okay.
Thank you so much, Rob. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, so once again, though, Angela Anderson, everyone, feel free to check her book out, available through Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and also through her website. And again, so all of our viewers, thank you much for tuning in, and always remember that every ending is just a new beginning in the world of stories. May your reading adventures be endless and your imagination boundless. And as we say here at Reader's Magnet, we share your stories with the world. Thank you, and have a good one. Bye-bye.